So this next file that we're going to be working on is the footer. And let me pull up the footer here. So I have, here's the footer. Let me close out the home.js, the JavaScript with it. So let me save that. And here's the footer right now with it, all right? Again, this is the footer.js. This is the bottom part of that web page that we're working in with it. You're going to start with some preprocessor files with it. Import React from React with it, right? So React from React with it, and that's how with it. Let me also bring in the import from, let's do the style sheet with it. So it's the file that you're going from your footer to your footer.css right here. So again, you gotta back up to the parent directory, come through the styles, and then come through and select your footer.css. So the dot takes you where? To the parent directory, hit a /, and you're gonna come into the styles right here. And inside the styles, you're gonna change / and change it to footer with it. So that's the second one with it, right? Next, we have some files that I need for you to bring in, import in some of the social media stuff with it. So let's look at some of the stuff that we have here with it. So okay, let's do that right here, right about right here. Stick that in the middle right here. So import Instagram. You know, the Instagram icon is what you want in here. So Instagram, and not that one. No. It's the Instagram icon, sorry. Instagram icon. Alright, that's what you're gonna call it Instagram icon when you import this in. It's from the material. I didn't tell you about this material yet with it. We imported in some of the material from the website that it's material that UI with it, and you just copy these type of Instagram. I can't talk and I can't do this at the same time. So let me type Instagram right here. This one. Let me get this all in, and then I'll explain each one of these things for you. Okay? It's double quotes. Get that out. Semicolon. With it. At material. .ui. Okay, it has a little squiggly mark there. It concerns me a little bit with it. Close that off. I need to open this quote. There you go. Okay, so check to make sure it doesn't have any of that squiggly lines in there. All right. Let me do this. Instead of typing this with it, I'm just going to grab that one line and I'm going to edit that line. Instead of Instagram this time, we're going to do a Twitter icon in here. So this is the Twitter icon, and that's going to pull the icon here. It's going to be Twitter. See, this already has what's called, take out this word icon here. This needs to be Twitter. Okay. With it, so it looks like this. All right. I just want to copy the right one. This time and paste that in here. The next one is going to be the Facebook, right? Facebook icon. From material, UI icon, Facebook. Change that part with it. Okay. And the last one's going to be LinkedIn icon, and at material UI icon LinkedIn. Okay. So let me tighten this up. These are the preprocessor file that's imported in from the library file that you're going to talk about with it. Let me talk to you about this part right here, the at material.ui with this. This is I had you do this because there's a website that I want to bring in here with it and show you this website with it. Hold on. Let me pull up that website I had open here in a second. It's this website right here. Okay, it's called materialui.com. MUI.com up here. Can you see this? And all you have to do is go to the getting start right here and expand it. You can read through this, and it shows you how to. All you need is to copy in the code that they have with it, so it installs it in there with it. So follow this if you want to run this with it. It doesn't really matter if you do want to do this or not with it, but you do this command right here, the npm. It actually runs in and installs a lot of stuff with it as well, or you can pull it up from a CDN file like I have right here with it as well. So do that command. I did that command and this command right here. All right, so that installs into your drive with it. It takes time with it. Or what you can do is just do what I did, is just to go to the preprocessor and bring it in from that point of view with it. All right, but this is where you can bring in all sorts of different type of files that you could see. That actually allows you to pull in a lot of the graphics and the icons from here as well. All right, so that's where I got some of that stuff from with it. All right, make sure you have what I have. Make sure you don't have any of that squiggly lines or anything weird looking with it. So this is what I'm looking for with it as well. So take a second before we move on to the body of the code in here with it. Okay. So that's that. So let's come down inside of this thing. Again, the name of the file is footer. Make sure you have your footer, in here with it. So we're going to start with basically make sure you have this part right here properly done with it. All right. I hit an enter and it popped it down with it as well. So all right. So we'll start in line 8 with it. Call this thing called function. And again, you have to name it the same name as it's a function name, so it has to be the same name as the file. Right, that's the function, and you open up. Let's get the syntax here with it. It needs to return something, right? And that return needs to open up the content of that, and outside of that looks like a semicolon like this. So this is what it looks like right now. All right, this is the bare basic skeleton of a function with it. All right, this is what it looks like. So inside of this, we're going to come in and we're going to start coding this inside of this. By doing, remember that we always do the div, and we call it class name, and we're going to call this thing footer. Inside of that, you're going to actually start putting another div tag with it. Again, class name, hit tab, and we're going to call this thing social media. Okay, and then you close that off with it. Inside of that, now this is where you're putting in the name of the import. So if I call this thing Instagram icon, let me just highlight this right here, copy that, come inside of this right here, you're going to put in, and the way how you bring in a component is you close it off with that. All right, that's how you bring in the Instagram component. The next one that comes in is what? It's going to be the Twitter. So I'm going to grab this guy right here. You notice it changes with it, that how I import that in, and you close that off with it. See that? So that takes, you see how that color changes every time you bring it in, because you're using the memory, is what that is. And the next one is the Facebook. And the way how you close that off is this. All right, it's a self-closing tag. And the last one is going to be the LinkedIn icon with it, right? Cool. So you got 3 things that are 4 things. I'm sorry. That's going to be loading in here, the icon down here as well with it. And then I would like for you to put in another div tag for me. Let's call this div tag. Let's call this thing a paragraph tag, because you're not linking from anywhere with it. This is our class 2315 web design. And if you want to put your name, your name goes here for me. Okay? So make sure you have your name at the bottom when you take the screenshot, so I can make sure it's your name in there with as well. That's how I know it's yours, right? So save this with the white dot here, or save it. I'm saving it right now. So make sure there's all the, the left and the right parentheses, and make sure your left curly bracket matches your right curly brackets, and make sure you have a semicolon after the return function with it. Here's the opening of the div tag, and there's the closing of the div tag. There's a nesting of that div tag inside of that. So make sure all the syntaxes are properly done here with it. Pause your computer or pause this video and compare mine with yours. This is the footer.js. It's underneath the component subdirectory. There's one more line of code that I did not get a chance to tell you before we move forward. We got to export this default footer with it, right? So not only are you returning it, but you have to give it a command like any function that you do. You have to export it, right? So it's export default, the default file with it, and the name of the file is the program is footer with it. So this should have everything that you have in here with it. So make sure yours look like this right now. Let me clean it up a little bit, just moving in, tightening the space with it. But do pause the screen right now and make sure your footer file looks like this for me, okay? Okay, now I'm going to close this out with it. So I'm going to stop the video right now.